The focus in this early 15 years of the industry has been on growth and scale.
Yeah.
Whatever everybody has worshipped is who grew faster than everybody else. People have only in the last 3 years started to understand, oh, actually quality was the more important or equally important factor. See, there's no point having quality if you have no volume. अगर आपके पास 4 कस्टमर भी नहीं है, तो क्वालिटी से क्या फायदा है? But once you have, 4 million customers, then you better have quality, otherwise it's going to, have issue for. But the first purpose is, like when we started PolicyBazaar, we said problem क्या है? Problem है mis-selling, miscommunication, customer not knowing what they are buying. With that, we started PolicyBazaar. One way to think about it is, what is the equity I have received in PB Health? Zero. ZERO. Everything that I have taken is bought at the same terms as every other investor.
Do you think the timing for PB Health is now and it could not have been before? Health insurance is growing, but the margins for insurers is not growing. So what is it that you are seeing in this space?
I don't look at things in 3-year perspectives. I look at them in 15-year perspectives.
Huh.
So if we go back broadly 15 years, that is when the health insurance industry started. Where Star Health was born about then, we were born about then, Care was born about then, Bupa was born about then, Aditya Birla was not born yet, Cigna was not born yet. And these companies combined are give or take 2/3 of retail health insurance in the country. And what's happened is today, out of the 200 million odd Indian middle class lives, about 40 million have got retail health insurance covered. The focus in this early 15 years of the industry has been on growth and scale.
Yeah.
Right? So whatever everybody has worshipped is who grew faster than everybody else.
Yeah.
And that is one of the reasons we have also liked. You grew quite a lot, right? People have only in the last 3 years started to understand, oh, actually quality was the more important or equally important factor. See, there's no point having quality if you have no volume. अगर आपके पास 4 कस्टमर भी नहीं है, तो क्वालिटी से क्या फायदा है?
Yeah.
But once you have, 4 million customers, then you better have quality, otherwise it's going to, have issue for. What do I mean by quality? Quality underwriting. कि जब आपने कस्टमर को ऑनबोर्ड किया, how much did you know about the customer? Because if you did not, you have underwritten a book which will have a different disease experience from what you anticipate. कुछ एज बेस्ड होता है, but कुछ डिस्क्लोजर बेस्ड भी होता है. And obviously, the person who's slightly unwell, जो थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा बीमार है या कोई डिजीज है, wants the insurance care cover faster because they can almost see an immediate cost out there.
Yeah.
Right? And so they're a little more, even if the insurance experience is not that great, they are more keen to buy it कि चलो चांस तो होगा कोई ना कोई पेमेंट कहीं से मिल जाएगी. Otherwise they have to pay 100% themselves. I think that is the stage the industry is and we have to take that now. The second part here is, what are the costs in insurance? One is distribution, which you require to get scale. And so people have been taking that on. But the quality factor, the moment you put the quality factor on distribution, the growth slows down. Because the same person who could sell 3 policies can now sell only 1 policy. So actually selling every policy has become 3 times more expensive for them. And if that happens, the cost goes up, right? So it's all connected, right? And right now the idea is, let's get 3 policies instead of 1 or whatever. So there is that quality which the industry has not been able to control. The second part is 70% of our cost is actually with the hospital. And while the insurance industry has grown, the hospital segment has actually grown faster. And medical inflation is even faster. And it is still a very small industry for the Indian population.
Yeah.
We still have very few beds, we still have very few doctors, we still have, so I'm saying that's still going to keep developing. So it's still in the very nascent stage. Even today, less than 10% of our bed capacity is corporate hospitals. Right? So that is in a nascent stage which is going to carry on for the next 20, 30 years. So, and what is happening in that is the best hospitals do not really require insurance to send them customers. They already have their customers. that is the other problem. The people who have nobody coming to them, if there's a hospital who has no customer coming to it, like 20% occupancy, they just want some customer. वो कैसे आ जाए, उसमें कुछ तो पैसा बन जाए, right? So I think both sides there's a problem, and the bill is being paid by the insurance companies. And then lastly, there's fraud, waste, and abuse.
Yeah.
Right? Which the industry anticipates about 15%, 20%. So I think all these combinations come together and make current health insurance a very frictional product. Frictional from a point of sales because the customer says the experience of claims may not be good. Frictional from a hospital point of view, they say we don't want to deal with insurance companies that are finding it hard to pay claims. Frictional from an insurance company's point of view, they say the hospital is inflating bills. The customer has not told us everything. Also, there is hospital customer collusion. At the end of it, what you are seeing is a lack of trust on all sides.
Yes.
And
in a very painful moment of life.
And the customer who is stuck in all this.
Yes.
Right? So this is not a solution that can last. It will only become worse and worse and worse. I'm not a pessimist here. There are many people in the country who understand this. CEOs of insurance companies understand this. Many other knowledgeable people understand this. The issue is, what do you do about it after understanding the problem? I think PB Health is that attempt. कि भाई ठीक है, प्रॉब्लम हमको पता है, अब इसके बारे में कोई कुछ करेगा या सिर्फ बातें ही होंगी?
Yeah.
Right? भाई, so we are trying to solve that particular problem. The problem is very simple. You are a customer. You come to, let's not even call it the insurance industry. You come to X and you say कि भाई देखो अगले 40 साल, 50 साल, whatever my medical bill is going to be, I don't know. I have no clue. You have the data. You can understand what it should be for people like me. You tell me what the cost of that is going to be. I'm happy to pay you a constant amount on a monthly. But uske baad na, don't do chick when I have an expense. Please just treat me.
Yeah.
So that I don't have a problem.
Yeah.
Right? That solution requires alignment. It requires an honest customer. It requires an insurance company that has done its underwriting. It requires a hospital which is not going to inflate bills. It requires a doctor-customer dialogue, which is not different from an insurance-customer dialogue in terms of customer is telling the insurance company, I don't smoke, but is telling the doctor quietly, no, I smoke, but don't tell the insurance company because if you tell them, then they will not pass my bill. Right? This conversation cannot go on. Right? When will that happen? When these interests align. When everybody comes together. How do you align that interest? You are one individual. Let us assume from a financial perspective, it comes out that your lifetime healthcare cost is going to be 1 crore rupees. That's what is average. This 1 crore you have to pay. Now, whether you pay it 5 lakh rupees every year or you pay 10,000 rupees every year or 50,000 rupees every year, whatever you pay, that cost eventually is yours. But you want a system that is aligned towards treating you, but also bringing down that cost. Bhai, you don't want to fall sick, right? आपको भी बीमार पड़ने में मजा नहीं आता. आप भी चाहते हो ये 1 करोड़ की बजाय मेरा 5 लाख खर्चा हो या खर्चा हो ही ना. मैं फिट रहूं, मैं हेल्थी रहूं, मैं हॉस्पिटल से बाहर रहूं. You want a hospital system that educates you in advance कि आपके साथ कुछ परेशानी होने वाली है. आप ये अभी चेक करा लो, नहीं तो बाद में जाके बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम बनने वाली है. Right? And gives you advice कि आप ये greens खा लो, ये कर लो, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. Disease management protocols, etc. And when you fall sick, you don't want a hospital that makes money out of that sickness.
That's my biggest issue.
Everybody has different issues depending on what is their biggest issue.
Yeah, but as a country, most people would agree with say.
Yeah, I'm also there. The reason we set up, everything is for that reason. And let me explain. We are very confident the model should work, but there's a good possibility. See, we have never run hospitals in our life. Forget run, I've never even been inside a hospital. Like in the sense, never been admitted to one. Right? I don't know what goes on. Till 3 months ago, I did not know what oncology meant. I did not know it. Maybe I'm not good in English, or maybe I've had the good fortune of not engaging too much with the medical science. But I know the problem. I know the pain point. Right? And I think we are approaching it from that pain point. Okay, if there is a solution, it will look something like this. After that, we have found healthcare specialists. We have found people who built hospitals. We have found doctors who want to be aligned to this mission. But the first purpose is, like when we started PolicyBazaar, we said problem kya hai? Problem hai mis-selling, miscommunication, customer not knowing what they are buying. With that, we started PolicyBazaar.
What you said, the most apt thing, I thought, हर जगह mistrust.
Mistrust. तो ये ट्रस्ट कैसे सॉल्व करें, ये एक तरीका था. 100% सॉल्व नहीं होगा, बट शायद 75% हो जाए, राइट? एंड द नेक्स्ट लेवल, दिस इज हाउ यू कैन सॉल्व फॉर ट्रस्ट. सो आई थिंक व्हाट वी हैव डन इज व्हाट पीपल इन अ बुकिश वे से एवरीबडी शुड डू.
But no one has done it.
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. माय व्यू इज एवरीबडी सेज यू शुड डू. आइडेंटिफाई द प्रॉब्लम एंड देन स्टार्ट फाइंडिंग अ सोल्यूशन फॉर इट. यू डोंट कम विद योर ओन सोल्यूशन एंड से कि अच्छा भाई मेरे पास सोल्यूशन है, प्रॉब्लम नहीं मुझे पता, पर जो भी होगा मैं तो यही सोल्यूशन डालूंगा प्रॉब्लम में, राइट? As I said, we don't know. I tell my own children that you think about it. Till 1 year ago, did you ever hear me say we should set up hospitals? They said, no, we've never heard this. This is your farthest from hospitals. If anything, I would probably set up a fitness chain, not a hospital chain, right? But this is the problem that has to be solved. Fitness तो बहुत लोग solve कर रहे हैं और हो भी रही है. This is the problem that needs to be solved.
So if you can explain it now to everyone, what is PB Health actually going to do?
PB Health is saying, you as a consumer don't want to fall sick. Your cost of healthcare is, let us say, 10,000 rupees per year is your expected cost of healthcare. You pay that 10,000 rupees. After that, your healthcare problems we will manage. Right? After that, you don't need to see a bill and you don't need to deal with a claim. That is what, in essence, PB Health is trying to say. A lot of the how will fall into place. Because you will say, but PB Health is not an insurance company. Of course, it's not an insurance company. But there are enough insurance companies that can create these products. Right? PB Fintech is a large distributor. PolicyBazaar is a large distributor of health insurance. There are many others who will also want to distribute products where they say that यार as a customer आपको बिल और क्लेम की चिंता करने की जरूरत नहीं है. आपने अपना प्रीमियम भर दिया, उसके बाद आप चैन से बैठो. But customer also has to be a participant in this. जब आपको बीमारी होती है, आप मुंह उठा के कहीं पे भी किसी भी हॉस्पिटल में आके भर्ती नहीं हो सकते. मतलब you also have to be sensible.
Yes.
Right? There are people who will advise you on this. You will get a choice. But your choice is more limited.
Yes.
But when you go there, you will not deal with a bill or a claim.
Yeah.
But you will get treated.
Yeah.
Also, if you are not that very unwell, and you don't need to be in hospital, okay, let me explain a very simple thing. What exactly are people doing in this thing called general hospital? I understand you're in ICU. I understand somebody is in post-traumatic care. But what is this idea of sitting in a hospital and sending WhatsApp messages to your friends? That you can do from home also, na? So, I guess everybody has to play their part in this. There are many ways to play this part. Do you really need to be covered for the first 20,000 rupees of your claim? You're paying a 10,000 rupee premium. You can pay 20,000 rupees for the claim also.
Yeah.
What you really want to be covered is 3 lakhs, 5 lakhs, 30 lakhs, 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs ka cost aa gaya. So bills can expand sometimes, right? That is when you need insurance. Should insurance be bought with limited cover? You should have cover up to 1 crore. What are you saying? Insurance company doesn't have ability to pay. You have ability to pay beyond 1 crore. You can only decide one thing. You should never decide what is your limit of cover. You can only decide how much you are willing to pay.
Yeah.
5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, 1 lakh.
Yeah.
But the moment you do that, you are aligned. You are not going to go there for a frivolous reason. If the hospital wants to keep you in hospital, you'll say, yaar, ye to paisa mera hi ja raha hai. There are many things that you're solving, but at a fundamental level, what you're doing is the hospital has already received the 10,000 rupees from you. And thus, it actually loses money when you come there and use their facilities. It does not make money. Please understand, we actually make money when we have lower occupancy. We don't make money with higher occupancy. And because the reason is we are more of a capitation model. That is what is being said. They say, okay, how will you sell all these capitation policies? They're already being sold. Insurance is capitation. What else is insurance? Now, technically it's different. Insurance is insurance, capitation is capitation, but practically it's the same thing. Why do you as a customer care? There are 4 crore people in this country who are paying 10,000 rupees every year for their health insurance already.
Yeah.
It is those people that we're trying to solve for, that they don't have a difficult time when they have a claim. When a serious illness comes, they don't have to think about it. They go through that experience well. That is what we are solving for. And we are hoping that that 4 crores becomes 40 crores. Right? Because if the right solution is there, probably many more people will buy that. Right? And then it becomes the primary story. When that happens, somebody will also wake up and say, oh, this is unfair.
Friction removal at all levels.
Yeah.
That, I think, would be the game changer.
I think trust building.
Yeah. Also.
When you're aligned.
Yeah. And that is what PB Health is going to solve.
That is exactly what PB Health is trying to solve. Because what is PB Health saying? I will align my interest with the consumer and the insurer. Financially, initially with the insurer, but practically with the consumer. South Africa, there are these companies, Discovery, MMA, etc., which work a lot on wellness. Why does nobody have an interest in genuinely working on wellness today? Nobody's benefiting from it, right? Now, but we will all agree that wellness can have an impact on hospital bills.
Of course, yeah.
And how do you prod people into moving in that direction, right? That is the way to do it. So you want a hospital chain that tests you early, that, finds out early if you have symptoms of particular illnesses and gives you cures early rather than wait for you. Today, okay, let's talk about the biggest hospitals, right? Where do they make money? They make money from surgeries. What if somebody actually worked anti-surgery? How do we avoid surgeries?
Yeah.
See, as we were setting up PB Health, we spoke to a lot of people because we did not know how to set up hospitals. So the first thing was, let's tie up with somebody who knows how to do this. Because we did not, we don't want to set up hospitals. We did not want to, right? And we spoke to many entities that have been running things like this, healthcare-ish things. The only difficulty I found with all conversations was at the end moment, they made money every time a surgery happened. While my interest was in reducing surgeries. Today in insurance, there is about a 6.5% chance that a person will get hospitalized. In our planning, it is going to be less than 5%. You realize I become more and more profitable. Suppose I take it to 4%. I become very profitable. But you as a customer, do you want 6.5% hospitalization or do you want 4% hospitalization? You might want 4. Why do you want to go to hospital?
Yeah.
Right? What is the surgery rate? Everything you want it to be lower. So if I get rewarded in the same way that you benefit and the insurance company benefits, and I have an interest in making sure you don't fall sick for your entire life, because whatever cost comes is eventually going to come to me.
Yeah.
Then we are all aligned.
The incentives are aligned completely.
Yes, I don't believe humans are good or bad. It is, do you financially incentivize them right or not?
Is it similar to this Kaiser Permanente model in US?
See, there are too many similarities with too many models across the world. When we started PolicyBazaar, we were called the money supermarket of India. I remember that.
Really?
Today, our revenues are probably a lot bigger than them. As a business model, we are a lot more complex than them. We are valued a lot more than them. So if anything, Money Supermarket is the PolicyBazaar of the UK, right? And I'm not being nasty to them, but that's the reality, right?
Yeah, no one can debate on the complexity.
It's evolved. So I think India will always have its own solution.
Yeah.
There are many. This concept is called pay wider. The payer and the provider get aligned. Now, people come to us and ask, you're not even the payer, so why are you getting aligned? How do I put it? I would say that is not circumspect enough. Because payer is not just the person paying the money. I obviously have an interest in the industry being profitable.
Yes.
And I have an interest in the industry being bigger.
Yes.
And the reason I have that interest, see, it's a circumvent thinking, is because for the consumer, that will mean the prices stop going up. That will mean good claims experience. That will mean more customers thinking health insurance is a good solution. What we're trying to make is healthcare sustainable for the middle class Indian who as a family earns 1 lakh rupees a month. And middle class India is growing fast. And they don't have a sustainable healthcare solution today.
For some things, there is timing. Do you think the timing for PB Health is now and it could not have been before?
A lot of things fall into place when they have to.
Yeah.
If you asked me 5 years ago also, and in some places it might have already been recorded, I always said that at some point, PolicyBazaar will have some connectivity into garage networks and into hospital networks. Because eventually, if you think about an insurance policy, about 20% goes to distributor, about 75% goes to the claim, which is hospital or garage, right? And about 20% is the cost of the insurance company. And controlling all equations of the cost is how you make anything better.
Yeah.
And that is where the experience is also buying as well as the actual claims experience. So you control the claims experience, you give better information. People who talk the technology language will call it the full stack model.
Yeah.
Right? So you're basically building the full stack model. Nothing new about it. It's complex, it's hard, but it's not that hard also. It's okay. It's okay hard. Right? There are hundreds of people who have set up hospitals in India.
The hard for you would be because you've not set up hospitals before.
Actually, that's not the hard part. There are enough. See, hard is something that has not been done, not something that you have not done. This is where people get it wrong. Because if it has not been done, that means nobody knows how to do it.
This
Like
is
let's say PolicyBazaar was never built before we built it. So it was hard. Hospitals, there are 14,000 hospitals. They have been built, they have been operated by many, many people. So it's a pretty common skill set available there. It's not...
But this ecosystem is hard.
This ecosystem, but the existence of PB Fintech makes it very easy. That is why we are very rightly placed. So since you asked about timing, PB Fintech is very rightly placed to help in the execution of this, which is why I say PB Fintech is not the eventual owner. I don't want to own hospitals. I only want to enable this change because for me, this change is a dream. In fact, financially, personally, I'm making nothing from this. Nothing. Nothing at all.
Really?
Really.
I thought this could be far bigger.
It might be bigger. I'm saying personally, financially.
Ah.
I'm making nothing. Right? So why am I doing it? It's a dream. It's almost like, let me say, PolicyBazaar was my first step, and this is more like the give back to society. That okay, let's now, some people call it charity, some people call it Shramdan, some people call it whatever they want to. But that is what this is for me. It's a passion.
I would say Purne Kam.
You be you. My point is, this is the second phase, right? If you would. And to me, this is not possible if PB Fintech doesn't exist because the demand is not there. How will you bring the insurers together? How will you get the insurers to create products? For PolicyBazaar, that's like that.
Yeah.
It's a 5-minute job.
Yeah. And the understanding on data, understanding on consumer behavior.
It's a day one job. But then think about it. When you tell a customer that they will never have a pain at the point of claims or bills, that is what consumers want.
तो अभी sign करवा लीजिए हमसे, हम सबसे.
Our hospitals will only be ready by about March to April next year. We've just started the process. So we've just got the investment. So far we did not have the money. We just got the money. This entity just got the money. And now that it has the money, it will start,
Are you going to buy hospitals or are you going to?
Both.
Yeah, build.
So we will, if you look at us in March, I would hope we would have bought some operating hospitals, which are already in operation, running fully. We will have some which we have taken live from scratch, as in not entirely greenfield, more brownfieldish. And we will have some which are greenfield from a 3-year perspective. So you'll have things in all stages out there. But yeah, you'll have all three. Because some are required to be done greenfield because the tech has to be implemented first there.
Yeah.
So the part we are not covering is actually we're a tech company who's doing a lot of other stuff. And that's what makes us, I can promise you, if we succeed. See, today a lot of people will say they are stupid, they don't know what they are doing, and that's fine. That's what happened when PolicyBazaar was started. If we succeed, people will say there's unfair competition. I can promise you that also. Because
I can see that also.
Yeah,
I can see it now only that.
No.
Because the
You
intelligence that you will have on so many spectrum.
So you will, if we are successful in 10 years' time, you will hear that side also, that these guys need to be controlled, right? So this is the phase. And that is why I am trying my best not to make any money on this front. I have made enough money for myself. I don't need more. It's very simple. I've made too much for myself. I will leave 99% of it here when I die. And I don't want it to even go to my children, because they will also waste it if they get it. Because that's what you do with money you've not earned.
So let me just say, I have a lot of respect for what you are saying. Let me just move to this insurance space India में. कितना growth है, क्या है? क्योंकि अभी भी, yes, we are talking about, you said you are going to cater to the 4 crore, ये वो, मगर भी कितना India है?
I think India, as I see it, and please don't hang me for this, is at least 3 different classes. And the whole world is 3 different classes.
Yeah.
Right? One is a bunch of people who say, I have so much money, I don't care about costs. I don't need to work to make my money. I have enough of it. That's called the rich. Okay. The second is, I have to work to make ends meet, but I'm aspirational. My children should do better than me.
Yeah.
I don't need anybody's support. I do not want to use, now this is a very sensitive topic. I do not want to use most of the government infrastructure. So my children are not going to government schools, mostly.
Hospitals.
I'm not using government hospitals. I will use the private hospitals. But I want a fair deal. I'm aspirational. I want my children to be engineers, IAS officers, military people, doctors, lawyers, whatever.
Yeah.
That's second class. But I know me and my children both have to work to make it happen. We can't sit at home and say we will not work.
Yeah.
Right? That is, we're not there.
Yeah.
Right? This is the middle class India. I believe only about 1 to 2%, maybe 3-4% of India is in the top stage. About 20% of India is in the second stage. Right? And this is the difference between us and developed countries, why people get confused. And I'll come to that also. And 75% or 70% of India is below that.
Yes.
When you look at most of the developed world, 70-75% is the middle class. And they have 5% rich just like us. So rich is never different in any country. Every country has that 5%. हमारे पास भी हैं. In fact, we probably have more rich than most countries.
Yeah.
Right? But the middle class is very small here. Out here, the middle class and the poor class are swapped compared to developed world. Developed world में 70% is the middle class and 20% is the poor class. यहाँ पे उल्टा है. यहाँ पे 20% is the middle class, 70% is the developed class. This is the state that will stay for the next 15 years.
15 years.
उससे पहले चेंज नहीं हो सकता है. कल सवेरे थोड़ा चेंज हो सकता है. आप कल सवेरे कह दोगे कि मेरे जो बिलियन पुअर हैं, कल सवेरे, you will suddenly bring that down to 1/5. It takes 15 years for any economy to. China did it over the last 30 years. It takes any economy 15 years, 20 years to come out of it, of this phase and become a developed economy. So I would say 2047 is the right time frame. That, in about 20 years, we should be a developed economy. And yes, about 75% of our population should be the middle class. Now, what is the difference between the three? Everywhere in the world, if you're a developed economy, the middle class is taken care of by the government.
Yes.
But why is that? See, we cannot blame anybody. Why is the reality of that? Because the middle class earning is the same as the national average. In India, the middle class earning is way higher than the national average. See, the middle class in India is somebody earning as a family about 1 lakh rupees. That's 12 lakh rupees a year. That is about 4 to 5 times the national average of India. So we are a poor country. And that is why the government here will practically be able to take care of the 70%, which is a very big population, 1 billion people to take care of. But that is what the government will be able to. So middle class has to fend for itself. जो मिडिल क्लास कहता है कि मैं टैक्स भरता हूं मुझे वापस कुछ नहीं मिलता बट इसमें कोई बुरा मानने की जरूरत नहीं है, इसीलिए यहाँ पे ग्रोथ की अपॉर्चुनिटीज हैं. हाँ. इसीलिए यहाँ पे आपको अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिल रही हैं. मेरे जैसे लोगों को पॉलिसी पर बनाने का अपॉर्चुनिटीज मिलती हैं, राइट? बट ये दिस विल बी द रियलिटी ऑफ इंडिया फॉर द नेक्स्ट 15 years. एंड दैट इज व्हाई आई फोकस ऑन द मिडिल क्लास, बिकॉज जो बाकी बिलियन है, that actually the facilities are going to be provided by Ayushman Bharat or something. And actually I have no role there. I can try to have a role. I can have some efficiency role. My dream is one day PB Health, 10 years from now, is something the government says is very efficient. We might want to use it for Ayushman Bharat also. I'd be very happy if that happens. But I can't go and solve for that thing up front. That is impractical. That is me trying to pretend to be too nice and basically dying.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So the practical thing is I have to solve for this 20%, which is the middle India, which is the middle class. It's not middle India. Middle India is poorer than that.
Yeah.
But middle India is probably at an income of 20,000 rupees per family per month. This is 1 lakh. So this is middle class, right? We have to solve for that. Today, healthcare is unaffordable for them. The reality is today, healthcare is only affordable for the top 5% of our population. That is the population that does not care. कि भी ठीक है डॉक्टर साहब 5 लाख का बिल आए 25 लाख का बिल आए कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता, आप बेस्ट ट्रीटमेंट करो और बिल्कुल मत सोचो. That only 5% of this country can afford, which is what the corporate healthcare system has been set up for. So people have to understand we're not trying to compete with anybody.
You know, you're speaking of as a middle class, I'm listening to you and it's resonating.
Because I'm also mentally I'm
now you are not. You have middle class values, but you're not middle class.
So mentally तो middle class ही हूँगा ना.
हाँ.
भाई आप.
mentally you are.
But हाँ मतलब financially I'm obviously not, but mentally तो मैं वही हूँ. Which is why I said I'll die with 99% of everything I have. Probably it might become more because I'll also save as I go along, right? But the point I'm trying to get at is this is the part that affordability has to be solved for.
Yeah.
Right? And they also want good service.
Yes.
Because nobody wants to stand in these queues. Nobody wants this 8 hours of,
or cross-questioned by insurance agents for your claims 100 times.
Exactly. You want to say, I've declared everything. Now, boss, don't chick me at the point of claim.
Yes.
Right? That is what you're trying to set up. It's very simple. It's hard. It's not easy. It's a hard thing to do. But it is doable. And if it is doable, it will be very hard for somebody to come in after that and say, I also want to do the same. It becomes very hard.
I'm feeling very happy. Technology से हम real pain points क्या solve कर रहे हैं.
Let's get to the basics, right? Today, when I go to a doctor and they say, अच्छा अपना एक test करा के आ जाओ. They don't have access to my old data. I don't have access to my old data. The first thing is diagnostic data, regularity, trends. You are a doctor, you can see my blood test, but you can't see my blood test last year, previous year. You're not seeing which part is growing, which part is going down. You're seeing a static picture.
Yeah.
You're not seeing the build picture. And now you deploy technology behind this at scale. By technology, I mean data analytics.
Yes.
Right? AI तो बोलने को है, but AI is nothing but data analytics.
Yes.
Right? So AI is basically multivariate data analytics taken to a different scale altogether.
Yeah.
Taken to a different level altogether, where the multivariates instead of 10 or 100 can be billions.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very easy to deploy these technologies once you have this data flow through, and that you can do in a closed loop. So the dream that NHA has, etc., is going to be complete, which is why my view is, if we can execute well, which I hope we will, in 10 years' time, we could build this for the government, for the poor part of India as well. Because then this is the model. And we could almost be doing this in a pro bono manner.
Again, in India, so many diseases are proliferating. Just the study. I see a huge research, medical research, in-depth
Absolutely.
research.
We would open up all the data to everything as per the laws of the government. This is Indian data. It is in India, and it must be used as per the DP laws and anonymized, etc. But yes, this has to be used. Who with what trends got what illness? Can we identify those trends earlier and make sure those illnesses do not happen?
Yeah, we are
Because
large data set.
our job is very simple. And now I'll talk in financial terms. Our job is to reduce the net present cost of your lifetime medical costs. The net present value of your lifetime medical costs.
Yeah.
That's my job.
Yeah.
Financially, right?
Yeah.
Reduce, not increase. Now I'll explain a difference. A doctor once joked to me that sometimes when a dentist in the US sees somebody come for one tooth, they do the NPV of the 32 teeth. I'm doing the opposite. I hope this person never has to come back, right? So you're taking it in a different trend. And because you're financially incentivized there, baki to automation and technology hai, it'll all be driven in that direction. Ke bhai, get people fitter, healthier, etc.
Immense possibilities.
And hospitals are not a great place to go anyway. People catch I don't want to give the data, but I think people do catch a lot of illnesses, bugs, etc.
In the hospital? Yeah.
So it's not a happy place to go to, right? It's like going to where 99% of people are.
I hope your hospitals have very high quality standards.
Of course. And we haven't announced a lot of things yet, but as you look at the staff coming on board, you will see what we are bringing on board, because there's a huge amount of effort towards ethics, service, value systems, quality, non-compromise on quality. There's a huge amount of effort coming in on that. We will, so, don't want to give out everything right away.
Yashish, so just tell us the structure now. So PolicyBazaar and PB Fintech is the holding company. So just take us through that.
PB Fintech is the holding company. PB Fintech has a 100% subsidiary called PolicyBazaar, which is an insurance broker. It has many other entities which are all 100% subsidiaries of PB Fintech. So it's one structure which is held by PB Fintech. Right? PB Fintech has made an investment into an outside company called PB Health, which is a healthcare company, which, as part of many things it's doing, a large part of the fund deployment is towards building hospitals, right? And it has external investors as well. I think we should, by the time this interview comes out, I'm sure it's going to be announced, hopefully today or something is being announced that, something is happening on that front in terms of who are the investors. But over the next 90 days, all the investors coming in the round will get announced.
How did you convince all the... Of course, you have such a great pedigree. I'm sure everyone would have wanted to back you. But on this concept, was it easy? Was it hard? Because this is first time happening in India.
I must share with you, since 2014, I have operated in one way. I decide my investor first, then I approach them, and I have almost 100% success rate.
वो कहते हैं यशीश तुम आए हो तुम तो deliver कर चुके हो ले लो पैसा.
But I have also only gone to those investors whom I wanted. I have not gone to anybody else. And
so you picked.
So because you would know, because you guys are in the industry, and otherwise I would have a credibility deficit here. Just ask around and see if I went to anybody asking for funds, right? I went to the people that I wanted to raise from. I was very, very clear on who. I approached them, and thankfully, with God's grace, they agreed. They took time. Oh, it's not, oh Yashish, tum ho, paisa le lo. No. They are serious investors, each one of them, and they've come in a substantial way on the first go itself, right? And these are long-term investors, long-term holders.
How much was it your pedigree, because now you have proven, and how much was the belief in the concept, because the concept is very new for India, right?
Let me explain. One way to think about it is, what is the equity I have received in PB Health? Zero. ZERO. Everything that I have taken is bought at the same terms as every other investor.
So you have invested in this.
If I'm investing 1 rupee, let us say investor A is investing 1 rupee and I'm investing 1 rupee, I'm getting exactly the same number of shares as that person. Okay. So for being Yashish Dahiya, I have taken 0. That's very important, right?
Yeah,
and that's what also tells you that I'm not using the pedigree to make money. That's not my objective in this one. It's to make sure it happens.
Yeah.
Think from an investor's perspective. This is pure cash. The company is valued at pure cash. If $200 million is coming in, the company is valued at 200 million. There is no concept of a founder equity or anything of that sort. Do you understand what that implies?
Yes.
Does it usually go reverse of whatever has happened across the country?
But it builds so much of confidence. One, of course, I would say your way of operating.
People don't speak about it.
But thank you for speaking about it.
Because I think at the end of it, we want to be fair to everyone. I have my equity in PB Fintech. That is the company I have built. This is being built because of PB Fintech.
Yeah.
So PB Fintech is investing. I'm co-investing, but why am I co-investing? Because the other investors wanted me to co-invest, to show that I have skin in the game. Because if I'm not taking ESOP, why am I doing it? I can explain to you why I'm doing it, but they will not take me just on my word.
Yeah.
Right? So they wanted me to invest. So I'm investing. Right? But it is a show of hand rather than, I think I'll make a lot of money by doing that. Right? So I think those pieces are, once they fall in place and once your heart is in the right place, hopefully then success follows. Or, then you can execute right. But it's a no-brainer investment. It's just, what are you investing in? You are investing in buying hospitals and a little bit of tech. Actually, the tech cost is not that high because we have a lot of capability to deploy there. It's not like we are starting from scratch and we are hiring from scratch or anything of that sort. We have a lot of capability out there to deploy. And that capability is pretty much coming for free, if you think about it.
Yeah.
All that execution capability is coming for zilch.
Intelligence also.
Everything. Yeah. Everything. The concept. There is no valuation for the concept. There's no valuation for the, execution. Now, the belief system is once you develop it, once it does evolve, people will always find a way. There's nobody in this world who will not find a way to pay you. I believe in that.
We were talking about trust, what you're building in the health tech space. But again, it's a trust on you, on PB Fintech, right?
I think nobody should put trust is a very big word. And people should not put too much.
No, it's very important, Yashish, now because we are also losing trust.
No, but that is the reason I don't want. See, I'm 99% certain of what we are building. I'm not 100% certain. I think it's the right thing to build. So I'm very certain of why we are doing it.
Yeah.
The what. This is a very difficult thing for a founder to admit, specifically when they've just raised $200 million for a new project. But all my investors know this, that I know the why we are doing it. The what is still hazy. It's somewhere in the clouds. It'll emerge. I have the sincerity to look through the clouds and stay there and have it emerge. But it is not crystal clear.
Yeah, that's all right. But
like when we started PolicyBazaar, I didn't have a full idea of this is what PolicyBazaar will become. Right? So out here also, it is the same. There's a lot of execution we are taking on, but there's a lot of backstops. See, at the end of it, let's take the worst case scenario. So I always take the worst case scenario. What's the worst that will happen? The worst that will happen is we would have bought a pile of hospitals. And we'll be one more health hospital chain out there. That's the worst that can happen. We'll be one more hospital chain. Maybe we are not as efficient as the others. Maybe we are worse than the others. Maybe we get bought out by the others. Who knows? I think that's the worst that can happen. Right?
But what's the best that can happen?
The best that can happen is what we are aiming for.
Yeah.
Right? Because eventually you're buying real estate, you're buying
There is trust in the sincerity of an entrepreneur who has
Absolutely.
delivered, because in India right now, we are getting very polarized when it comes to the tech ecosystem, the startup ecosystem, in terms of writing it off as यहाँ पे सब कुछ खराब है, या उससे पहले 2 साल पहले था कि सब कुछ अच्छा है.
Everybody in their heart of heart knows why they are doing what they are doing.
Yeah.
Right? I think there is a general smell test out there. If you ask among founders, if you ask among people, there's a general smell test out there. People know what people are. It's not like anything is news for anybody in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right? There are people who benefit from all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just founders.
Yeah.
Founders in I've met investors as recently as 2 days ago who say, why do you want to build all this tech and AI? How does anybody know anyway? तुम बस बोल देना tech और AI लगा हुआ है बीच में, क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
Wow.
You just build revenue.
Shocking.
I have met investors who said, why do you want to think so long term? Nobody's thinking more than 5 years. Right? And I just went into 10, 12 days Vipassana. One of my primary reasons was that, am I being stupid? Am I thinking too long term? Right? But all I'm trying to say is, people know everybody. Nobody is an unknown in the industry. Why they choose to do different things is the choices they make and the karma they are building for themselves. I don't think anything surprising comes out in the industry. Now, outsiders may pretend it is surprising, or they may just simply not know.
Yeah, simply not know could be also
because
true.
See, many people just get into the industry because, okay, let me give an example, right? A company X might have a very high valuation as a percentage of their revenue because they are tech. It's not because they are tech. It is because it's assumed that they're going to grow at a certain rate.
Yes.
And that their future cash flows will be very high. Right? If the management team itself does not believe in that, then you have a problem.
Yeah.
But if the management team believes that they will be able to deliver those, then actually it's undervalued. Because nothing is a valuation of a multiple. Everything is a valuation of the sum total of your future cash flows.
Yeah.
Right? And if you are confident that in 5-10 years you're going to have a lot of cash flows and you're solving a big enough problem and you're building enough moats, then you're undervalued. If you believe that's not going to happen and you're just selling a story, you also know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And by the way, if I am ever investing in anything, that's the only thing I look at. That is this person telling me a story, and there are very easy ways to find out. It doesn't take very long to find
Just
out.
tell 1 or 2 ways.
पता लग जाता है. I don't want to
digress.
By the way, it's not just one trick, right? It's not a trick. It's an understanding of the human values and all that stuff, and you get to it. It's not very complicated. But there are people who will choose not to do it because they are also benefiting from the system.
Yes.
Please do appreciate, investors also benefit by deployment. There's a 2% fee or a 1% fee or some fee being made. So everybody benefits. Let's not only blame founders, is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, despite the fact that I'm a founder, I could tomorrow be an investor. What I'm saying is, let's not blame just one group. Everything happens because the ecosystem collaborates.
Yes.
It never happens in isolation.
Complicit in the crowd.
Yeah, everybody is complicit.
Yes.
Whenever something happens, people are complicit.
Yeah. How bullish are you about the tech? I'm talking about the tech and the deep tech possibilities in India.
I think the next 3 years will surprise us a lot in terms of what happens. We have about 20,000 employees. My firm belief is, at this point, if we were leveraging deep tech to the hilt, we may have 2,000 less. But what could surprise us is that in 3 years' time, that could be as high as 50% of our workforce. Now, there's no immediate reason to do anything. But those who don't have an immediate reason to do stuff will very shortly find themselves wrong-footed. And these things change very rapidly. So we're doing a great job in risk assessment. We're doing a great job in some efficiency functions. But in pushing the boundaries on sales and service through machines or through automated, we got to act faster, is my opinion. Because the change is coming very rapidly. I have now seen enough of the change to see that the change will come very rapidly and the cost of that change will come down very much. So the cost will be almost negligible. So by the way, I don't think anybody's going to make money from AI itself. AI will be a commodity available to everybody.
Yeah.
A bit like water. It is how well you can use it, or like calculators. It's just how well you can use it, how well you can ask the right, because the cost of developing the AI models has become so low that kids coming out of college will just build them out for various things. So you don't actually need to build those layers. You need to learn how to leverage those layers and use them for your specific things. And I think speed is of the essence out here, because otherwise many will... See, those who have consumers have the safety net, because without consumers, you can't do much in AI.
Yeah.
Right? So they have a huge safety net, right? Eventually, consumer brands only will benefit, because consumer brands' cost will come down, right? Because on the cost side, people are going to outcompete each other from a tech perspective, from a tech and capability perspective. And whoever has consumers will be able to bring down the cost by leveraging the competition. So it'll benefit. But I think even in that, there's a time limit in how rapidly you have to act.
Somehow I think that in healthcare, it would be very...
Healthcare, it is going to be a different level altogether.
Yeah.
See, because in healthcare, 13 years ago, I picked up something in my blood report, which has been consistent for 13 years. It had something to do with the liver, something. I've been picking it up for the last 13 years. I don't have alcohol. I've never been an alcoholic. But that has always been there. Now, that has to mean something. I don't know what it means. Till today, nobody has told me what is the risk I carry. They say it's okay, it's normal. But it is. But everything else is actually normal. There is one thing that just stands out, and I don't remember it, I'm not a medical person, but it just always stands out, right? Tech has to allow me to pick that.
Yes.
And say, this is your risk.
Yes.
And it's not about telling me the risk, it's about what can I do to change it. Today, I don't know what to do. And 15 years have passed, or 13 years at least have passed. But for these 13 years, I could have done something differently.
Yes.
Maybe it was, I don't know, maybe it was a milk consumption, maybe it was a sugar consumption, maybe it was salt consumption, maybe it was rice. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was either exercising too much. It could be anything. But I just don't know what it was. And it's been 13 to 15 years. That should not happen. If you just prevent that, you've helped so many.
मुझे तो लगता है सबसे बड़ा फायदा होगा health में. And you, totally. I hope PB Health
we are totally on that. So one of our top 10 employees is our AI people. So people, when they set up hospitals, are hiring doctors. We are hiring AI specialists.
Yeah.
So obviously we are thinking differently. Now people today will say, this is stupidity, because what will this guy do? But I think it'll be proven to be different.
क्योंकि हम लोग 20 साल जिंदगी में जब से हैं तब से same report, same way we are functioning in the same way with maybe better infrastructure hospitals.
Yeah, a hospital is not meant to be somewhere where you go for comfort.
Yeah,
treatment.
Or better restaurants and coffee shops.
You don't go there for having better food or better canteens or better air conditioning or better marbles. You go there for treatment.
But like what you said, is intelligence on my body.
And I don't want to go to a crowded hospital.
Yeah.
Because you're picking up illness. So I want to go there when I need to be there. I don't want to stand in queues. What are these queues at billing points? What are these queues at, at dispensaries? You want to be in a place where there isn't a queue. You're there when required. It's obvious, right?
In a very premium hospital, some people passed away and they said they got secondary infection. And they said, it's all right, it's in the hospital. That's so bad.
But it's everywhere. The UK, the NHS system is so good, in my opinion. But, super bugs is a very big problem there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, why would you want to go, right? It's like...
And that's what also you are solving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please understand, the first step is how does 6.5%
Go to 4%.
go to
I've told
below 5, but my aim is 4%.
Yeah.
And then in that 4, instead of staying 3.5 days in hospital, can they stay 2 days? Instead of having more complex surgeries, can they have simple surgeries? When necessary, do the surgery. But don't do it random, right?
Okay, now I'm going to do a rapid fire with you. Biggest fintech buzzword?
AI,
Cashless or cardless?
cashless,
UPI killer app?
phone pay,
AI friend or foe?
friend.
Most underrated metric?
Most underrated metric is a company's DNA, a company's value system.
What does India mean to you today?
There's zero doubt that we'll be in the top 1 or 2 economies in the world fairly soon, within our lifetime for sure. Within our children's lifetime, 100%. It's not time to celebrate. It's time to work hard. China did it over 30 years. We have to have that super growth for 30 years with our heads down and working hard. All I want to caution is we shouldn't celebrate too early, and we should certainly not celebrate in others' pain. So if Europe is in pain, there's nothing to celebrate.
Yeah.
If UK is in pain, there's nothing to celebrate. If China is in pain, there's nothing to celebrate. We should just focus on ourselves, keep working, get ahead, and we will. We're destined to. We're amongst the smartest people out there. And I just can't see, with the kind of youth, the population that we have, why we wouldn't succeed. But success takes time, it takes discipline. If you start celebrating, if we started celebrating PolicyBazaar's success or planned success back in 2008, it would have never happened. So the only way to not achieve your success is by celebrating too early.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.